Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. Hope you enjoy. Story number 1. The Secret Report Within the Federation, written by Katani77. Classification, top secret. Subject, human combat ability versus Federation military members. Introduction. With the Terran, see also humans or Homo sapien species. Introduction to the galactic politic. It became necessary to evaluate their combat preparedness in the event of another Andromedan incursion. It is well known that the Andromedans annihilated all life not their own kin in their home galaxy, and have begun attempting to overtake the Milky Way, as the Terrans call it. And we have obliged since this report was published due to the popularity. Henceforth, the name's Arasa Galaxy has been considered to be depreciated by the Federation of the Eurasian Civilization. Has been considered to be deprecated by the Federation, as the Eurasian Civilization has been lost to time some billion years ago. We've been able to match the Andromedan force given a 2-to-1 ratio of force presence, but the sizes of fleets coming from Andromeda, also the Terran designation, have been increasing. See also the Himeraean galaxies, fall by Scrivener Albanon of the Atraxi. We were hoping that humanity, being a predatory species, would assist as the Daru, the Chuntari, the Firthwine, and the Sun to Rule Republic's forces had been in the past. What was discovered was far more than we had ever dreamed. Action excerpt. Human trials. Subject, Justin McCaffrey of Terra Prime, henceforth called Earth, as is their custom. Have you ever handled a pulse rifle, Justine? Justin, I'm only a sergeant in the Earth Army. Not really the young types I figured you recruiting for. To be honest, I was running a theme park before I was drafted for this. Do you not want to be a human? The bile from this disdain was of a hairless ape was palpable, even through the universal translator. No, but no one ever wants to be in a war. I have seen what the Andromedans have done. I'm with you on that front. Can we get the test over with? We asked your military forces for the best of what they had to offer. We showed them the ferocity and ingenuity of all the military races in the Federation. We told them to send only 2 who they felt could best us. The judge looked at Justin up and down with a look the translator says is mockery. They send us a conscripted white-collar middle manager who doesn't even seem to want to be here. All right, let the test begin. After action report. 35 members of the Federation Special Forces were defeated by subject Justin. No perceived injury to his body. Eyewitness accounts rate a human visible acuity to 3 times galactic standard. This means that the Vasilic systems and common camouflage were easily viewed by them. They have assisted in increasing basic security. Speed, reflexes, accuracy, strength, and marksmanship are off the known charts. Suggested sortie deployment is 1 human conscript to every 20 Andromedans. Extrapolated deployment is 1 human special forces to every 1,000 Andromedans or more. Other specialities in naval and air superiority have not been tested. We have also learned that the humans not only are far broader electromagnetic sensitivity, but also tactile, audible, and olfactory abilities higher than most species as well. Please note that the Daru smelling like cut grass and the Chanari smelling like wet dog is not meant as an offense, as humans are highly adapted to categorize smells as mimetic function, despite not being as sensitive as other species on their planet. See also Terran Canine for future military consideration, as the humans have already implemented. End of story. Story number 2. Space Doggos, written by Average Cake Enjoyer. The beast roared mightily as it swept its claws out as the shaking mass of crew members, the sharp nails barely missing the group as they dove in all directions in an attempt to escape the wrath of the monster. Picking themselves up off the floor, they huddled back together in a shoddy group, raising their improvised weapons towards the creature in self-defense, namely mesh trays and small kitchen knives they had got from the kitchen. The beast only bared its sharp fangs back in defiance. How in the 7 gods' name did that thing breach containment? I don't know. What are we gonna do? We're gonna get out of here. That's what. They turned and ran for the bulkhead, pushing and shoving past each other as they tried to become one with their inner coward. As they neared the door, one managed to escape the ball of stampeding crew members without being trampled and sprung forward, tossing himself past the door and into the hallway. A robotic voice blared as the bulkhead door shut closed, separating the main group from the one who had run ahead. Unknown knife form detected, locking down Section 3A. The stragglers banged on the cold metal of the door, screaming bloody murder and hurling all sorts of profanity at the AI as they did. "You dumb AI, you lock us in with it, but you won't keep it out, you useless hunk of circuitry." A loud bellow of the beast brought their attention back to the situation at hand. The large animal slowly approached the group one step at a time, the gleam of hunger shining in its eyes. You could almost hear the collective gulp of the group as they turned to face the animal, each and every one of them shaking in terror. The beast roared, and the scream from the group rivaled the beast's own. "Scatter!" The captain's door swung open violently, the loud bang of the door hitting the wall making her sit up, ramrod straight in alarm. She didn't even get the chance to orient herself before she was hit with a barrage of words, the near-nonsensical babble of a crew member filling her ears. "Captain, the wreck escaped containment and is doing us in. Please help." The captain blinked groggily at him, still evidently far too tired to have been having this conversation, having been woken up in the middle of their sleep cycle. "You're speaking too fast. Please slow down. The wreck escaped." "The what? Did what?" "The wreck escaped." "What?" "Yes. What do we do?" She looked blankly at her crew member, her ears flattening on her head as fear and as the words finally sunk in. Finding no reasonable options left, she did the one thing she never wanted to do. "Get him," she stammered out. "Him? Jeff! Get Jeff! Tell him I'll pay him 20,000 credits if he deals with it." "Surely not. You do remember how much we had to pay him to deal with the last incident. What other choice do we have? I don't plan on being a frack feed, do you?" Opening his mandibles to make a retort, he closed it and found that no words wanted to come out. "You make a compelling argument," he said, before promptly turning and scuttering down the hallway towards Jeff's room. The door creaked as it slowly opened, an insectoid head peeking around the doorway warily. Seeing the human still asleep in his bunk, he turned the lights on and approached him, tapping him on the shoulder softly with his pincer. Like lightning, the rattle of Jeff's snoring was replaced by a high-pitched squeal as he jumped out of his bed, collapsing on the cold floor of his room. "I'm awake! I'm awake!" he screamed out to no one in particular, his head swiveling like a top before his gaze landed on the intruder in his room. "Ratal, why the feck are you in my room, actually? Don't answer that. I don't want to know." "What? What? You haven't even heard what I was going to say yet. Why are you getting back in your bed? Why? You just woke me up in the middle of the night and I'm not on duty for," he glanced at the clock hanging on his wall, "the next 8 hours, so scram, you mantis twat." The insectoid stared helplessly at Jeff as he crawled back into bed, snuggling back into his covers. "It's an emergency." A loud, faux snore was all he heard. "The captain said she'll pay you 20,000 credits if you get up and deal with it." In a flash, Jeff threw off the blankets on top of him, leaping to his feet and standing at attention as he threw an over-exaggerated salute. "Senior Engineer Jeff Richardson reporting for duty. What do you need me for?" So you know." "Fecking hell, spit it out already. I want to go back to sleep." "The wreck escaped. Please make it go away." "The wreck? And I get to deal with it however I want, correct?" "Will you?" Would I? I've been asking to play with it for all month. I reckon the thing likes me. Even gave me a sloppy lick on the cheek after it tried to bite my arm off. Cheeky bugger." What? "So, where is it?" "The canteen, I hope. If it escaped, I'm taking the evacuation pod out and you can fetch me if you survive." "Say less, I've got this," he said as he marched out of his room, purpose filling his strides. The captain stumbled towards the canteen, rubbing the dust of sleep from the corners of her eyes as she walked in. Turning the corner, she saw the closed bulkhead of the canteen, deep gouge marks marring the plasteel of the door. Beside the door, she saw the beaten and bruised bodies of her crew resting on the wall, most of them visibly shaken and a few curled up into balls, whimpering. A look of concern flashed across her face as she heard the distant mumblings from a traumatized crew. Jeff hasn't said anything in a while." He took the beast like it was nothing." Then they've been silent for a bit. Do you think he's all right? Oh, after that wreck as before. I hoped so. Her eyes widened in panic as she overheard what they said, sprinting to the door and punching in her access code, overriding the lockdown. As soon as the door slid open, she sprinted in. Jeff, are you okay? Her words died in her throat as she looked at the sight with wide eyes, a look of disbelief plastered onto her face. The beast was curled around Jeff, its head on his lap, pressing up against Jeff's chest, earnestly asking for more pets. He was more than happy to oblige, giving the large animal a gentle rub in the head, a soft smile on his face. She could only look in shock as the scene. That's a Class A deadly animal. What are you doing? This little puppy, she's harmless. Really does remind me of a Doberman at home, he mused to himself. Harmless. She looked around at the surroundings. Overturned tables and benches littered the ground around them. Large claw marks scattered the walls and floor. Is your Doberman a recognized Deathworlder species and almost 3 times as big as you? No, but my dog always acts like this. And she's not just any Deathworlder. She responds to Rose now. She could easily kill you, but Rose loves me. Look at her. As sure enough, Rose raised her head and gave him a lick of the cheek, a thin sheen of saliva covering his face. Can I keep her? You don't have to pay me. Her paw met her snout, an astounding false, a headache forming at the thought of a large creature trundling around her spaceship and the paperwork that was sure to follow. On the other hand, 20,000 credits was also a lot of money. In fact, it could probably pay for all of the repairs and then some. We'll, talk about it. Can you move her back to her containment chamber now? Not yet. We're still playing. End of story. I just quickly want to thank the Tier 5 patrons and channel members: Alithia Barkey, Cam Maxwell, Casper Arnholtz, Albarden Guster, Arcadian, Lord Azrakal, and Joachim Backer.